The National Secretariat of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana has called on its members to continue striking until government pays their interim premiums.
According to Kotoka, government has denied them their inclusion in the payment of the interim premium, while other public sector workers continue to enjoy it. In the press release issued and signed by its Executive Secretary Isaac Bampo Addo on Monday, the group demanded that the Chief Executive Officer and the Public Relations Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission explain to them why their salaries are not based on the single spine salary structure. According to the statement, all workers of Kotoka must stay at home until further notice.
President Mahama has inaugurated a newly refurbished arrival hall at the Kotoka International Airport, expected to considerably ease delays usually encountered by passengers who arrive into the country.
The ultra-modern facility, part of an ongoing refurbishment of the airport, will also make the passengers more comfortable, we're told. Speaking later at the inauguration of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority Training Center, also at the airport, President Mahama announced an imminent cut in the cost of aviation fuel, which should lead to cheaper airfares. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
International passengers will see a marked improvement in the facilities at the arrival hall. The floor area is a lot bigger. As many as 14 new immigration booths have been installed, up from 12 to help reduce the queues. 2 new baggage carousels have also been added so that passengers now have 4 in all to process their luggage. Officials say the work, which was started in 2014, was completed ahead of the October 2016 date. President Mahama also inaugurated the new Ghana Civil Aviation Training Academy building. The edifice houses, among others, lecture theatres, offices, libraries, an air traffic control simulator, computer laboratories, a restaurant, and a 200-seating capacity conference room. There, the president announced that in the coming weeks, the National Petroleum Authority will announce a 20% reduction in the cost of aviation fuel, which is central to the operations of the airlines.
One of the complaints that I have constantly received is the one about Accra being a high point cost for aviation fuel. And so my understanding is that several airlines prefer to load up on their fuel outside Accra. And so we've consulted with the National Petroleum Authority, and the National Petroleum Authority has agreed to adjust the cost of aviation fuel and reduce it by 20%. I'm sure they'll be announcing the details shortly, but their decision is to reduce it by 20%. I'm sure this would improve the volumes that the airlines take, and it will make Ghana a preferred destination for fueling up. And I believe that will increase traffic and will also increase your internally generated funds to be able to achieve some of the magnificent, jobs that you're doing with those funds.
President Mahama also inspected construction works on the ongoing Terminal 3 building. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Agbagba.
The Speaker of Parliament has described Ghana's democracy as one that is ever improving.
Speaking at a ceremony to mark the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Parliament of Ghana and the UK-based Westminster Foundation for Democracy, Edward Doajaho said the interest expressed by the foundation is a confirmation of the progress Ghana has made in nurturing its democracy. Joseph Akable has more.
The Memorandum of Understanding aims at enhancing the policy-making process of Parliament and dealing with political parties more transparent and evidence-based. This will be achieved through development of a research staff to provide support, establishment of information management group, as well as encouraging members of Parliament to effectively use policy research. Speaking at the event, Speaker of Parliament Right Honourable Edward Doajaho described the agreement as a sign of growth in Ghana's democracy.
My understanding that the training of trainers of selected research staff in basic research methodology required for the training of MPs research assistants has been concluded. Ghana's Parliament is extremely proud and delighted that Westminster Foundation for Democracy chose Ghana as its headquarters and hub of their West African operations. This represents a fitting testimony and acknowledgement of our ever-improving democratic credentials. In this regard, I must state that despite our severe constraints on space, we have been able to secure a suitable office space to accommodate the Foundation's newly engaged West African representative.
British High Commissioner John Benjamin, who was at the ceremony, said the United Kingdom remains committed to assisting Ghana enhance its democracy.
Is extremely committed to helping Ghana's efforts to deepen further its democratic traditions, recognizing that each election cycle presents new challenges and that Parliament is asked to respond to those challenges in the interests of its citizens. In parallel to the Memorandum of Understanding and the project which we mark here today, as well as being supportive of the wonderful efforts of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, particularly to improve transparency and accountability here in Parliament through better research and policy formation.
Andrew Rossendale, who spoke on behalf of the foundation, said the agreement will strengthen the relationship between the two countries.
Development, Anthony Smith, and all of you here today. What a pleasure it is for me to come from London, from the British Parliament, to join with you, Mr. Speaker, and all of you here today to strengthen our friendship and our relationships and our long-standing bond between not only the Parliament of Ghana and the Parliament of the United Kingdom, but of the peoples of both of our nations.
The agreement is expected to run to 2018. For Joy News, Joseph Akable.
Well, in other stories, the Ghana Traditional Council on Monday backtracked on a decision to sign a controversial petition to get President Mahama to pardon 3 persons convicted for threatening some members of the judiciary.
The petition put together by the Research and Advocacy Platform urges the president to invoke a clause in the Constitution which grants him the power to waive entirely or reduce the sentences of the convicts popularly now referred to as Monte 3. The Ghana Traditional Council told journalists on Monday the chiefs decided to appeal for clemency rather than sign the petition.
That was the acting president of the Ghana Traditional Council, Aidoo Nsaki, explaining why traditional authorities have waded into the Monte 3 contempt case, pleading for pardon. The chiefs indicated they are asking for pardon in the spirit of oneness and peace as required for the annual Wamawo celebration. The Ghana Traditional Council appealed to the president to temper justice with mercy. The Nai Wolomo, Numo Akwa Mensah III, explained the motive as not to undermine the judiciary.
We are not supporting them for what they did. We are not saying the judges haven't done what they are supposed to do. They should have imposed the severe measures on them. But as we all know, we are just as the Lalodia owners of the Ghana land, and then our Homo is just at the Ghana. We are seeing the elections in the next few months. Now, these things may go down to cause maybe 1 or 2 things that is going to create a moment of discomfort for all the people in Accra. Now, everything starts here and everything will end here because all the powerhouses are in Accra. So if we are not pleading for justice to be tempered with mercy, then we are not showing any concern. Some people might have done that. They might have gone through the punishment given to them. But who knows? Everybody in the luck. We are not saying what they did is right. We are just pleading for executives to come in to plead for maybe a reduction of the sentence, or even if it would be right, then they should rather release them. But release them on caution, release them on a mode that nobody will even try to do that or repeat that again. As the chiefs and then the priests of the Ghana, we are having what we call the feelings for mercy. That is what we are pleading for. We are not trying to put a political interest here. We are not doing anything. We are just pleading and pleading with the government to meet the judges, to plead with them, to show mercy. That's all.
The chiefs also cautioned journalists to avoid false reports, since the fate of the Muntia 3 can befall anyone.
We as chiefs are not doing politics. So many judgments have been given by the Supreme Court, and we have refrained from commenting. But this is too harsh. It can happen to anyone. Sometimes the print media especially goes overboard. I'm cautioning all of you to be careful not to write falsehood about others just because you have been bribed.
Now, let me run this by you. Stop the activism and represent the entire nation.
This is the advice of the Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Aidoo, to some ministers of state, including Gender Minister Emmanuel Aidoo, who appended their signatures to a petition calling on the President to grant amnesty to the Muntia 3 who have been incarcerated. And as you may know by now, some persons who disagree with the Supreme Court ruling are gathering signatures in a petition asking the President to invoke his prerogative of mercy. But Dr. Aidoo has expressed doubt over the possibility of the President to heed to their plea and has instead called on the President to defend the rule of law.
One of the first responsibilities of the President is to uphold the rule of law and defend and protect it at all times. I think that the President would do the right thing. He would, I'm sure, would support the enforcement of the rule of law and would also protect the mandates of the different organs of the state, because that is also part of his responsibility. I don't know the precedents whereby Supreme Courts decide and immediately the President also interferes. And I'm not sure the President would do that, because it would undermine our democracy. It would expose us to ridicule of the worst kind. I do not think that the Supreme Court decision actually erodes press freedom. I think we are in a crucial phase of our democratic development. The judges have acted in the national interest. The President is there to defend the national interest. I think the ministers, like the President, must also stop activism and represent the entire nation. I think the President might speak soon to silence everybody, and I am sure that he would uphold the rule of law.
Well, in other political news, suspended General Secretary and National Youth Organizer of the Convention People's Party were met with strong resistance Monday morning when they attempted to enter the party's headquarters.
The two, Niyama Komfroy and Ernesto Yeboah, resumed duty Monday after the disciplinary committee of the party cleared them of any misconduct and recommended their reinstatements. Our colleague Benis Abubedo witnessed the drama from the Nima police station to the party headquarters and came through with the following report.
On June 30, 2016, the CPP suspended General Secretary Niyama Komfroy and National Youth Organizer Ernesto Yeboah after they publicly condemned President John Mahama for receiving a Ford Expedition gift. Their comments directly contradicted the flag bearer, Ivor Greenstreet, who said he saw nothing wrong with President Mahama receiving a gift from a Burkina Faso contractor. Sections of the Youth League held various demonstrations protesting the suspension of the two national executives and demanded their reinstatement. The Central Committee handed the issue over to the Disciplinary Committee, which came out with a report exonerating the two. But their report was disapproved by the Central Committee. Niyama Komfroy and Ernesto Yeboah decided to resume duties Monday, August 1 at the national headquarters of the party. To their surprise, they were met with stiff opposition. Niyama Komfroy explains what transpired and their decision to involve the police in an internal party matter.
I had contacted the police, and it's ironical to know that we went with the police and the party is seeking to prevent this illegality with thugs. You know, if the party feels it has a legitimate, it could have contacted the police. But we certainly came to Nima police station before we got to the party office. And so the patrol will take us back to the party office so that the law is enforced.
Joy News joined a delegation from the Nima police station to the party headquarters to broker peace. Once again, the two were prevented from entering their offices.
We are all talking, no.
The confrontation turned personal as first vice chairperson of the party accused the general secretary of sabotaging the flag bearer.
Here at the CPP headquarters is quite a scene of a suspended door not being allowed to enter their offices, and that's what we are picking up. And we visited the Nima police station where it was suggested that all the issues had been trashed and they were permitted to come into their offices, but it looks like we're seeing otherwise.
Let's start by correcting the impression that there is no tag here. There's nobody. They are all party boys.
Okay.
And they were seeking to prevent. But we went to the police station and the police resolved the matter. Okay. That it is their right. Okay. They can enter into the premises of the party just like any other Ghanaian, which is okay. We don't have any difficulty with that.
But when I came in, I saw the police officer in charge who came with the delegation telling you that he didn't want you to make situation worse because you had already agreed that they should come in, and so you shouldn't prevent them from entering their office. Can you clarify that? What exactly?
They are not prevented. They can enter into their office. Who is preventing them? Do you see somebody telling them not to enter into their offices?
When we came in initially, we saw that.
Who is the criminal?
We are here for peace. Oh, look at...
My interview has been interrupted because someone just walked in and accused someone of being a criminal. It's quite a scene here at the CPP headquarters.
With just about 5 months to the general elections, the CPP does not have a substantive general secretary and national youth organizer, and suspicions of sabotage and betrayal linger.
Great CPP for a bowl of Gary. You say election year you not allow a Confra and Ernesto who are thinking independently and championing the cause of Nkrumahism to put sand in your Gary. So you are selling the party for a bowl of Gary. Kwame Nkrumah will be turning in his grave. That the great party he set up to liberate Ghana and Africa has turned into a Gary-eating party.
Emmanuel Aidoo reporting for Joy News, Accra.
And already the party's central committee, we're told, has already referred the two national officers to the disciplinary committee for commenting in public internal affairs of the political party.
That's it for the AM News. Now, stay with us. We've got the newspapers, and who knows, we might play some Lil Wayne. And no, we'll continue after this.
Mentias.